In the next few minutes, APQC's John Tesmer will introduce you to MosaiQ and let you know what all it can do. MosaiQ is available to all APQC members as part of your membership at no extra cost. Just be sure that you're registered on apqc.org and you can log into MosaiQ by following any of these tabs. In the upper right-hand corner, you can click Tools and then click MosaiQ, which will take you directly to the MosaiQ homepage. Another option is from the homepage, you can click Menu, hover over Expertise, Process and Performance Management, and then click MosaiQ. This will take you to our MosaiQ information page, and from there, you can click Access MosaiQ Now. The third option is, from any web browser, simply type mosaiq.apqc.org, and it will take you directly to the MosaiQ homepage. Now, I'd like to introduce you to John Tesmer.
Once you're in MosaiQ, you'll see that it's organized into two separate sections. There's a navigation section over here, and then a content section over here. We have some pretty simple traditional window management things where you can minimize the navigation and maximize your window, get the most out of your screen size here. You'll also notice that the first time you visit MosaiQ, you'll find this really handy little set of cards. You can hide those so you can see all the other frameworks available to you at a glance, or you can expand them and come back at any time you like. And this is what it looks like when you see all the frameworks that you have access to. Now, as you can see here, I have quite a number of frameworks available to me. I can filter those frameworks for just the ones I've created, just the ones that I've been shared with me, or even ones that I've archived. So I have the ability to go through and see all kinds of different frameworks there. Or I'll go back and look at all frameworks and see all the ones I have. I can also very easily create a new framework just by clicking on that Create New button, naming the framework. And clicking on Create. Now at this point you'll see a brand new framework pop up. And on the left side of this framework window I have a place for my process elements, and on the right I have an activity screen. The first thing I want to do when I create a new framework is to actually import elements from other frameworks. Typically the frameworks that we start from are APQC frameworks, but as you can see there's quite a lot here. Most people start with our cross-industry, and we support a bunch of different versions. We'll just go ahead and choose this one here, 721. It's our most recent. And let's just say that in this particular example I want to focus on delivering services and finance. Just take these two. And you'll notice that I can drag and drop these process elements, and MosaiQ handles the renumbering and all of the integrity issues about keeping ID numbers straight for me. If you've done this in the past, when you've maintained frameworks, you did it with Excel or some other manual-based tool, it's a little difficult to do and maintain consistency. Anyway, so we've created our framework, we've dumped in some process elements from cross-industry. At any time, we can also go back and import maybe even from another one like retail. So here's retail 721. I'll just go ahead and bring this in, and let's say I want to work on some merchandising. We'll go ahead and bring this in, and let's say I want to put it right there in the middle. I can drag it in, and you'll see MosaiQ handles the renumbering for me pretty easily, pretty quickly. Last but not least, if I wanted to create a process element that didn't exist in the framework, again, this was the import function, I can go back and click the create element function, and when I start typing, MosaiQ is going to search for all the frameworks I have access to and see if that element exists. But just to keep things simple, I'm going to use common food. I like to eat pizza. I know that's not a process element that exists anywhere. And then I'll just drag this process element down here. And you can see now that I've got these process elements created. I can also start to drag other things down. Now, MosaiQ represents a sort of hierarchical functional decomposition. So if I wanted to decompose pizza, I could do things like this, like crust, right? And drag this down here. It's a child of pizza. And then I could do cheese and sauce as well. So we do cheese. Drag cheese down here. Perfect. So now I have my process elements here, and I can go back and just refresh and get that little visual artifact taken care of there. So there's my pizza, crust, cheese, and sauce. Now, for each of these different process elements, I can click on them and see the details of them here on the right-hand side. So this is our deliver services process element. You can quickly see the definition of that process element, who created it, if there's any process owners assigned or any systems related to it, or if it's even a favorite that you'd like to subscribe to. Also, you can create comments and have interactions and conversations with other people that are involved in your framework. So you can have simple conversations like this, comments, and they're threaded, so you can put whatever you like in there. Get threaded responses back and forth. And all of this is the correspondence that happens in here is sent via notifications whenever you have favorited or subscribed to a particular process element. So that's a nice feature there. The rest of the features here are related to the things that you can organize or manage inside of your framework. So here we have this management of assets. Now, an asset in MosaiQ is really any file or hyperlink to anything that is related to this deliver services process element. MosaiQ supports typical simple versions and assets and things like that. So if I wanted to say search engine, maybe that was a part of what we were doing. I wanted to use Google. Can create a link that's an asset for Google. And then let's say in a few months we come back and decide to change it. We can actually create a new version and go to Bing. We'll save that. So now you can see that my search engine has been updated, but if I open this up, I can see the two different websites are stored here, two different links. This is great, and a lot of people use these links whenever they have a content management system of their own or a repository of any kind of process documentation that you can't move over to MosaiQ or to some third-party hosted solution. So they upload links here to that existing thing. You can also upload files. So if I wanted to do a particular demo file, I can do that. And we support a number of different file types here. So I'll just use this Excel version here. And there's my demo file. You can see I've got that there. And again, very simple version control. So if you wanted to create a new version, you'd be able to see that as well. So assets is a huge, very important part of MosaiQ. Beyond assets, we also support these things called notes. These are just really simple, sort of rich text fields, descriptions. People use this for things like meeting minutes and whatnot. And it's always stored in the context of the process element that you care about here. Beyond the Manage tab, we have this Measure tab, and this is a pretty exciting tab. Whenever a process element has benchmarking data available, you'll see the measures listed here. Now, for this particular one, Deliver Services, this 20025, nothing exists. But if I break this down a little bit more, and actually let me go find one that really has something here. Here's a great example, General Accounting and Reporting. Go to the Measure tab here, you can see I've got quite a lot of measures available. There's a real simple search engine here inside of the measure. So if I'm looking for cost, I can just search for cost. There's total cost there. When I find the measure, it pulls up and I have access to a chart. It shows exactly how the distribution of data looks here. And of course, this is frozen. There we go. Let's see if I can regain control of this. Looks like my mouse has quit working here for some reason. There we go. Now we're back in business. So cycle time in days, just as an example, this is a histogram that shows the data set from the lowest number of cycle time in days to the highest number of cycle time in days, and the height of the bar represents the number of organizations that are in that particular histogram bar. You can also pull various peer groups. So if you wanted to compare different regions or revenues or industry sizes, you can also do that. Get some pretty interesting visualizations here. So that all works great. And it's read-only at this point, meaning that you can't upload your benchmarking data, but you can see other data as well. You can also download or print the chart. You can see here I've just gone to print to PDF, but you could print or save it as a visual or an image file. Last tab I want to show you here is the Learn tab. Learn tab actually pushes content from APQC's knowledge base directly into your framework as APQC creates it. So right now you can see that the most recent knowledge we have here under Perform General Accounting and Reporting is related to the number of accounts in the chart of accounts. Quite a lot of content here. When you hit the read button, it's going to open up our website, and assuming that you have the appropriate membership type, you'll be able to download the piece of content and get access to exactly the right information at the right time there. Now, a couple other quick features. So you can identify process owners. So if I wanted to nominate myself as a process owner, I just key in my email address here. There I am. I'll add myself. So now I'm a process owner. If I wanted to establish some system linkages here, I could say something like Excel, SAP, or maybe even some cloud-based service. Now, at this point, Mosaic doesn't have any reporting mechanism for these things. We just store the data internally. But future versions of Mosaic are intended to have reports where you can pull sort of cross tabs to see all the processes that depend on certain systems or systems that support certain processes, etc. So quite a lot of value in that. Now, Mosaic is not just for single users. You can actually collaborate with people, as I mentioned here on the Feed tab. We do that through this thing called a security group. You add an approved user group, and I actually have a couple of them already created here. You can see some of them are read-only and some of them are read-write. Just turn those on or off as I wish. And that basically allows anybody who's inside of any of those groups to have that specific level of access to my framework. And I can add anybody in the world that has an email address. If they're not an APQC member, they won't have access immediately. They'll have to actually purchase access directly from APQC. But if they are an APQC member, they'll be shooed right in and allowed to access your framework. And again, there are two different levels of access, read-write and read-only. So quite a lot of power there. Once you have a framework sort of built out, you can actually export the framework to Excel just by clicking that export button there. And you'll see it'll give me the option to download or save it. If you click on open, then it pops just right up in Excel. And you'll notice that the Excel version is basically a copy of the structure without any of the attachments or conversations or any of that stuff related to what you've created. But any kind of changes you made to the description of the process element are listed here. So real powerful tool for sharing and collaborating with other people who may not have access to Mosaic or whom you may not want to have access to Mosaic. I'll take a minute now and just walk you through some of the other parts of Mosaic. So over here on the left, you'll see in the main navigation, we have an Explore tab. This Explore tab lets you explore the frameworks that we have, the template frameworks. You can't make any changes here, but if you want to, you can use it as the basis for a new framework of your own. We also have a Resources tab that sort of centralizes some of the information about process management using Mosaic. So getting started with process frameworks, benchmarking, etc. And then there's a Help tab that summarizes some of our help options, including our help desk number, email address, and our help center, where you can go to get access to frequently asked questions. So for example, here's what's the difference between member versus non-member, or whatever it may be. Okay, that is Mosaic in a nutshell. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, I encourage you to reach out. We're at your service. Have a wonderful day.